I think the yarn was a gymnast in its past life because all it wants to do is split. Hello yarny friends, it's Mads. Welcome to episode 4 of Millend Makes. In this episode, we will be using reflective yarn, and I am sorry about the crinkling in every video. All of the Millends come in plastic bags. I try to keep it to a minimum, but there is still a little bit of crinkling in all of my videos, so I'm really sorry about that. And I'm also going to apologize about my voice. I am currently fighting a cold, so I am going to sound a little bit strange in this video. Hopefully not for the entire video because it's going to be filmed over multiple days, but yeah, I do apologize that I sound weird. Apologies out of the way now. I am going to unbag this off camera so I'm not crinkling anymore, and I'll come back with the yarn. This is what it looks like out of the bag. It is a navy with reflective thread running through it. There are 3 skeins in each Millend bag, and I've got 2 bags. I don't currently have ideas for both of them, so potentially this episode will just be using one of them. And my thoughts for this is something to wear when my partner and I go out late at night, especially in the winter time, because the sun sets pretty much at like 6 o'clock. So anything after 6 is late at night. But how reflective yarn is supposed to work is essentially in the dark, it reflects any light that turns on it. So like the car's headlights, street lights, things like that. The little reflective thread that is intertwined with the actual yarn is supposed to bounce back the light and sort of make you more visible in the dark. So that's my thoughts for this, because we are slowly approaching winter. I know it's not there yet, but time is flying, so I better get a crack on this, because knowing me, this will take me 5 years to complete being a slow crocheter. So I am going to potentially make a couple beanies out of this and potentially a scarf. I haven't quite decided yet on that, but I'm sure by the time I'm done with the 2 beanies I should hopefully have a plan. I don't know, we're just gonna wing it this episode. The yarn is quite soft. You can feel the reflective thread running through it, but it is quite soft to the touch. It doesn't bother my skin anyway. But I am a bit worried looking at it because it is quite fuzzy. I don't think it can show up on camera because it's a dark yarn, so I'm not even going to try and show you that. But there's quite a bit of fuzz on it, and it just makes me worried how this is going to hold up after, you know, constant use or washing. So I think what I'm going to have to do is potentially make up a swatch and throw it in the wash and just see how it works out, because Millends are basically mystery yarn. I have no idea what this is made of. It obviously has some sort of plastic in it because of the reflective thread. I don't even know if plastic is the right word. I'm so not across all of the materials that yarn can be made out of, but I'm also going to assume it is not cotton. I'm going to assume it's like an acrylic of sorts because of all the fuzz. Yeah, but we will probably work up a swatch, throw it in the wash and see how that turns out. I have a feeling I might just need to hand wash anything that I make with this, and for that reason I want it to be something that I wouldn't have to wash as often. As gross as that sounds, I feel like a beanie and a scarf, because you're wearing it for short periods of time, you're not needing to wash it after every wash. Whereas if I made this into like a top, I would have to wash it after every wash, and I don't have the patience to hand wash something multiple times a year. If I can wash these a couple times a year, I'll be happy. And realistically, I'm only going to be wearing it in winter, and that's like half of the year. So without further blabbering, because that's what I do best, I think I'm going to get a crack on the first beanie. I think I might start with my partner's beanie, because I haven't fully decided what I want for mine. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and every pattern that I look through, I don't know, I'm just very indecisive at the moment. So I still have to finalize that, but I think I might just get started on my partner's beanie. The one that he picked is like a lattice stitch beanie, which I have never done before. I'm excited to do it, but also I don't know how difficult it's going to be. Hopefully it's not very difficult, but working with a new yarn, I don't know how it's going to work, like how the yarn's going to work up. So hopefully I can grasp the stitch fairly easily and I'm not crying through this. I'm sure I won't be crying too, but let's not jinx it. Let's get on the project now, and I will take you along for the journey and let you know if I run into any hiccups, because then we might have to change our plan. I am just about halfway through the ribbing and I'm having a terrible time. I think the yarn was a gymnast in its past life, because all it wants to do is split. It splits a lot. It is splitty and sparkly. It's a splitty sparkly yarn. You want to say that 5 times? Splitty sparkly yarn. But I am just doing the ribbing section, and this is what it looks like so far. It's picking up some of the light from my camera, so you can sort of tell what the reflectiveness will look like when my partner wears this out and about. It's quite pretty. Looks like sprinkles up close, and from afar it looks like glitter. Very, very glittery. I think it will look really lovely as like a sleeveless top, but again, it is fluffy and not in a good way. The only good fluffy things are animals, I feel like. Don't like fluffy yarn. The reflective thread is very loosely spun around the yarn, and so when I'm doing my stitches, it is getting stuck on the reflective thread. Like I may pull it through the yarn and might not pull it through the reflective thread. It's just a bit annoying, and I need to just be a little bit more careful while doing my stitches. So I think this may take me a little bit longer, but that's okay. I am using a 4.5mm hook, and this is a DK weight yarn, I'm fairly certain. The pattern I'm using is called the Lattice Love beanie by Heart Hook Home. She also uses DK weight yarn, but she uses a 4mm hook. I did try using a 4mm hook, but the splittiness was just bizarre. It was a lot more splitty. It was a very flexible gymnast. So I upped it to a 4.5mm hook. It works a little bit better for me, but I think this yarn will just need some getting used to and some slow crocheting, and hopefully I can succeed in making this, because it's terrible. And I'm already like 55 rows into the ribbing. It's just single crochet ribbing, but it's quite stretchy. I blabber a lot, I'm sorry guys. But yes, I am hopefully, because I'm not actually using the correct hook size per the pattern, and I don't check gauge. Who checks gauge? Not me. I hope with my fingers and toes and everything crossed that I don't mess this up. I am just gonna chain or rib, sorry, to the length that she mentions on one of her sizes. The sizes go from like baby to large adult, and I will either be the adult or the large adult size, and I want to stick to one of the numbers that she's given me, just because I'm very inexperienced when it comes to doing this sort of stuff. Like the lattice stitch is like cables, and I've never done that before at all. So yes, scary times ahead for all of us. So I've done the first couple rows of the beanie, and now it's on to creating the actual lattice stitch, and I'm so glad that this pattern has a video tutorial as well. So I'm just gonna watch that, and hopefully I don't mess up. Fingers crossed. This yarn is just very splitty and it's annoying to work with, and yeah, I just don't wanna mess up and make this longer than it needs to be, so wish me luck. So it is the next day. I have been working on this in my spare time and have got a couple rows of the actual like pattern or like cabling done, whatever you want to call it. It is a dark and a little bit of a busy yarn because of the reflective threads. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but you can definitely feel it. I did sort of ask my partner again, because it is quite dark and you can't really tell the pattern so far, whether he wanted this one, and he's like, yeah, it feels cool. So even if you can't see it, it feels cool, guys. So we will continue on with the pattern. But that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I was a bit nervous because it is something new to me, that it would be, you know, quite complex, and being a Splitty yarn, I would struggle a bit. But I think I am starting to get the hang of this yarn. I'm not splitting it as much. Little Socks has come to say hi to all of you. Hello, say hi to the camera. Yes, no. He is a bit camera shy. He just goes where the treat goes. So usually I have to hold a treat up there and I'm like, say hi. Sorry, Socks threw me off there. So yes, I'm not finding it as splitty anymore. I am still splitting it a little bit, but I think I'm getting the hang of working with it. So that's good, because I'm only a couple rows into like the complex part of the beanie, and hopefully from here it is a little bit easy. I'm just gonna work on it the rest of tonight and maybe a little bit more tomorrow, and I'll come back and show you once I've got a little bit more of the beanie completed, because at the moment this is all that I have. I have made it to the other side with a completed beanie, and it only took me 7 days. You heard that right, 7 days to crochet a beanie. If you guys didn't believe that I was a slow crocheter before, surely you have to believe me now, because this was my only project this week. I essentially worked on it every single day when I had free time and did not do anything else. I did actually do a couple of rows on my corner to corner blanket, but that was just when I needed some mindless crochet before bed. I essentially just spent majority of my crochet time this week on this, and it still took me 7 days, but I'm proud that I'm finished with this. I just probably don't want to do another one like this for a long time. At least until I'm fully recovered. I'm still battling that cold. It just doesn't want to go away. So I'm also sorry if you can hear my air conditioning. It might be a little bit loud, but I am a sweaty mess. So I'm not going to try this on for you right now, but it does fit, and it fits my partner as well. I think if I wear it, I will just pop a pom-pom on here. Might just add a little bit of extra cuteness, and yeah, very pretty. Not sure if you'll be able to see it in my light. There's a lot of detail on it. Definitely the most detailed project I have made. All of that cabling is lovely. And with this one, I've actually hit my goal for 2024, which if you haven't seen my year in review video, I'll pop it up here for you if you're interested. But I had 2 goals for this year: make wearables and try something new. A beanie is a wearable. Technically, it's not like a new type of wearable for me, because I have made beanies before, but it still counts. And I have never done any sort of cabling work before. So that's something new that I learned, which I love. Like, I think I want to explore that more, so I might in the future, once I've recovered from this, look up more patterns that involve cabling and try and explore with that, because I really like how it turned out. It's quite detailed. I would have to say it's the most detailed thing I've ever crocheted, and I love how it turned out. It is quite dark, so you might not be able to see it very well. But yes, I am super happy with how it turned out. I am also super happy that she had a video explaining exactly what needed to be done. I will link that in the description box below. Her description to that video actually has the written pattern as well. So I'm just going to link the video below, and then you can then, if you need the written pattern, go check that out on her blog, because it is free. It's free on her website. So super grateful that she put out a video on this, because I essentially had to look at it every day. Every alternate row she moves the starting point of the beanie, and my brain just couldn't remember which way it was moving, because you slip stitch either on the right side of the work to move it one way, or the wrong side of the work to move it the other way. And every alternate row you would move the starting point back and forward basically, and my brain just couldn't remember at all. So every time I started an alternating row, I would hit on that YouTube video, just watch, you know, the part that I needed to figure out how I get started, and then once I got started, I sort of knew what to do in terms of cabling. But yes, very, very grateful to her for putting out that pattern video. So definitely go check it out if you'd like to try something new. Definitely not a beginner pattern. I would say it is quite intricate, and it will take you a little bit more time than a standard beanie pattern. So if you want to challenge yourself, definitely go for it. I loved doing this one. It was a skill extender for me, and I'm so grateful that I tried it out. But I would say definitely a bit of a yarn eater as well. It took just over a skein, so I did eat into a little bit of the second skein. I think this one weighs 190 grams, so a bit heavy. But this is a heavy yarn, so it has, you know, reflective thread running through it, which I'm assuming adds to the weight because it is heavier than most of my other DKs. But I don't think it's cotton or anything like that. It is very fuzzy. But yeah, that's that. I think for my second beanie pattern, because this one's for my partner, I may occasionally borrow it, but I'm gonna make one for myself, and I will be making a cat beanie, which I have been wanting to make for a little while. I found a really cute cat beanie called the Black Cat Slouch Hat. It's such a fun name. I just had to look at the website to make sure I was telling you the right information. The website is called Persia Lou by Alexis Middleton. I hope I've said that correctly. I will link that pattern in the description box below as well. But that pattern uses a bulky weight, like a 5 weight, I think, yarn, and I'm using a DK weight, but she does tell you to crochet 11 inches, like your starting chain should be 11 inches. So I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna sort of go off gauge with my DK weight yarn, make this beanie, and hopefully it doesn't take me another 7 days. I don't think it will. It looks like an easy pattern, so I will link that below if you're interested, and I will get started on that right now, and I'll see you when I'm done with it. I think what I also might do is I might crochet up like a tiny swatch of this yarn and toss it in with my washing when I, you know, do that, and just like the normal load that we normally run it on, and see how it holds up, because it is looking quite fuzzy. I don't think I'll be able to show you guys on camera because of my lighting and because it's a dark yarn, but it's a lot fuzzier than the other yarns I'm used to, and I just don't know how that will hold up over time. In my mind, a fuzzy yarn will only get fuzzier with wear and wash, and that kind of worries me a little bit because I don't want it to look used too quickly. I want to be able to get quite a bit of wear out of my mix before it gets all like pilly and fuzzy. So I think I'm just going to do a test swatch, pop it in the wash, just normal cycle, you know, just in case we accidentally put this in the normal wash, which I don't think I ever will. I will be really pedantic and make sure it goes on like a delicate cycle if I'm machine washing it, or I will hand wash it because this yarn is so fuzzy and I just want it to last. But just for the sake of this exercise, I will crochet that up, put it in the wash by regular washing, and when I complete my second beanie, I will show you that little swatch as well, and hopefully we can see how it's held up after being put through the cycle of regular washing. So I will see you soon. 4 days and 145 grams later, and we are done with beanie number 2. This honestly could have taken me 3 days because I had a little bit of a solo frogging party on day number 2. I ended up ripping out everything I had done and starting from scratch because my work ended up a bit wonky. My own fault, obviously, because I just had no ability to count on day number 1. I tried multiple times, and every time I failed or I lost track halfway. So no counting was done on day 1, and then by the time I'd gotten to day 2, my work was a bit wonky. I think I had added some stitches towards the ends, and basically one side was wider than the other. So no amount of convincing me was working. Like, I was like, you know, it's just gonna be a rectangle that you sew together on one end and up the top, and then you join back your yarn and, you know, add some more rows to the bottom. All of those things can hide the deformity. Wasn't working. My brain was like, this is imperfect, you need to fix it. Because I'm essentially a recovering perfectionist. Not so much recovering with this one because I ripped it back, but I just decided, you know, bite the bullet. I wasn't even a quarter way through, just rip it back, start again, just so I was happy with this, because at the end of the day, this is for me, and I want to be able to wear this and be happy with it and not think about the mistakes that I made when I look at this. So that was done. I bit the bullet, I did it. I also did make a couple of modifications to the pattern. One of them wasn't intentional. So my beanie is not a cat hat. It is a bear beanie because my ears, for some reason, just aren't pointy, and I think the pointiness is what makes it look like a cat beanie. So mine are very blunt. I'm not sure why, and I think you're not going to believe me when I say this, but I almost don't believe myself telling you this, but it took me 2 hours just to do the ears. like the ears aren't crocheted. You make the beanie like a big rectangle, sew it up one side, sew it up the top, and you're essentially left with like a square or whatever, a rectangle. And those points at the top become the ears. You sort of just, you know, connect yarn. I couldn't really understand what the pattern was trying to ask me to do, but you essentially connect yarn on both the sides and cinch it to create this. So like yarn up the top, yarn on the side, get cinched, and then create this little ear. The pattern had a couple of pictures and my brain just wasn't comprehending what I needed to do. Like, did I need to just, you know, put it in one stitch, bring it out the other? Was I supposed to weave it through all of the stitches? And was I supposed to do that on both sides? Like, weave it in one side only, then go around the back and weave it in the other, weave it in both. Like, my brain just couldn't work out what I was meant to do. I ended up hopping on YouTube, trying to find a tutorial. That didn't really help either. My brain, I don't think, was just thinking straight at this point because I was just so over beanies. I was like, I've been doing beanies for a week and a half. I need to be done with it. So I ended up winging it and creating this monstrosity. I can't speak anymore. My brain's so tired. But yes, I'm gonna call this my bear beanie and not a cat beanie because it doesn't look like a cat at all. I will try it on a little bit later. But the second amendment that I made to this was I didn't add the ribbing at the bottom. Now the ribbing at the bottom was a bit different. So if you look at this, if you can see in my light, it does look like it's ribbed, and that's because it is. You work in the back loop only. The pattern calls for attaching yarn at the bottom and then working like this, but in the back loop. So you're creating a rib this way, if that makes sense. Now this one ended up too big. And when I say too big, like it is the size of my head. So that will be the top of my head. It's going down to my neck. If I had like holes in this, I think it will be like a balaclava. Is that what it's called? Like I can literally fit it over my entire head. I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe it's the yarn. I think the yarn is a bit heavy because of the reflective thread running through it, and also maybe because it's a lighter weight yarn, it's a bit more stretchy. I don't know. I have no clue. But I changed the measurement mentioned in the pattern and it's still very big, so I just ended up leaving out that bottom ribbing and just creating this. And when I wear it, I need to fold up the beanie quite a bit, so like I needed to do quite a bit of folding to sort of make it look like a reasonable size on my head. So that's my two modifications. Not too intentional, sort of just my mistakes really. I think, I don't know. I don't know if the second one is my mistake or not. It probably is. I think it's just using different yarns, so I'm just gonna blame it on that. I also did end up crocheting this little swatch and just putting it in the wash with regular like washing. Like I did not put it on hand wash or delicate or anything like that, just the normal cycle we always put it on, just to sort of test to see how it will hold up. Now obviously I wouldn't put my crocheted items intentionally through that. I would use the wool cycle or something like that on my machine or hand wash it. But I just wanted to see, you know, worst case scenario, if a mistake happened and my piece ended up in the wash, what it would look like, and it is a bit fuzzy. So I will switch angles to try and show you a little bit better because you can't really see it like this, it's too dark. The sun is setting very quickly, so I am going to try and catch the sunlight and can hopefully show you this in a better angle. So here's both of them together. I have just moved onto my bed as there's a bit more light in this room, and I'm hoping you can see it a bit better against my white sheets. You can see the cabling really well on the first one in this lighting. Very intricate. It sort of goes, you know, over and then under, like I can put my finger through there, then over the next one, under the next one. It's quite intricate and involved. The reverse is exactly the same. It's the same sort of cabling throughout, or lattice work, whatever you want to call it. This one is quite simple and easy to make in comparison. I feel like this one you can mindlessly crochet. This one you sort of need to focus a little bit more, but this one's just classic back loop only crocheting, and then you just, you know, crochet the sides up and then, you know, create these ears at the top, cat ears or bear ears, depending on how they turn out. If they turn out like mine, it will be a little bear beanie. If it turns out like the pattern, you can have a cat hat. But yes, this is what they both look like side by side. My camera is making it look a little bit lighter blue than it does look in person. It's a bit darker in person, and I don't think you can see the reflectiveness really well. You can sort of see it in some of the ribbing here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my flashlight on my phone and shine it on these beanies so you can sort of see what it's meant to look like as it reflects light. So if any of you watching are a bit sensitive to light, I would recommend looking away now, and I will let you know when I am done shining my flashlight on it. So look away now if you don't want to see, you know, the reflectiveness of it. But this is what it's meant to look like, so you can clearly see how it reflects the light. Sorry, you can see my phone in the screen there. So I would imagine if you're like crossing a road or something like that and the car's headlight shines on you, this is sort of what it will look like. But when there's no light shining on it, it will just look like a normal beanie. So it's very interesting the way it works. But anyway, I will stop doing that now. So if you've looked away, you can look back now because I've stopped flashing it. But yes, this is both of them together. This is the little swatch that I ended up making and tossing in the washing machine. I don't know if you'll be able to tell how fuzzy it is. You can sort of see a bit of the fuzz against the white, like up top there. It has definitely gotten a little bit more fuzzy than before the wash. So it'll be interesting to see how it holds up. Like you can sort of see it against the white there. It's a bit hard to show you because it's dark. Hopefully you guys can see that. And in comparison, let me just show you this one, for example. Like you can't really tell again, but there's a bit less fuzz on this one. There is still a bit of fuzz, like you can see where the beanie meets my bed there, like a little bit of white and then the blue fuzz that you can see there. But this one is definitely a bit less fuzzy before the wash than once it comes out of the wash. Like you can see that corner there. It's quite clear how fuzzy it's become. So hopefully you guys have been able to see that, but yeah, I am just a bit worried now about how this will hold up in the wash. I will just go back to filming the normal way and I will chat with you a bit more. I'm back, and so is Socks, at least part of him anyway. Don't think you can see much of him at all, and he is quite short for being a long dog, so that's that. But yeah, that is both of them, and this little swatch that I made will just basically go on Socks' lead for when we take him for a walk. We'll just slip it on whatever lead we're using, and it will sort of reflect any light that shines on it, I guess. So it's still sort of useful, it's not going to waste. So that's a little fun extra project for this little episode. But I thought I'd show you what both of them look like on my head. So that is the bear beanie, or cat hat, whatever you want to call it. It is a little bit oversized, so I have to do the ribbing, you know, quite big. It's probably just the yarn. But that's what it looks like on me. And the lattice stitch beanie will look like Socks is back. Hi, how do you think I look? You judging me? Yes. That's what it looks like. Oh, you can sort of see the cabling in the light here. But yes, I might just add a pom-pom if I ever wear it. I feel like this is a bit big for my head, but my partner will probably not add a pom-pom on when he wears it. But yeah, I kind of like how they both turned out. Very interesting. Very different crochet experiences. This one was obviously a bit more involved than the other one, but they're both very pretty. And I do have 93 grams of yarn left, and I was sort of tossing up on what to do with this. The ideas that I thought of was fingerless gloves or a scarf, and seeing how fuzzy this little swatch got in the wash compared to how it looks out of the wash, because it is still fuzzy, just, you know, straight out of the skein, I sort of am leaning away from the fingerless gloves ideas, because I feel like I'll be doing a lot more with my hands and, you know, messing with the yarn a lot more, like opening doors, you know, holding my phone, things like that. So I feel like me doing all of those things might make the gloves a bit more fuzzy than, you know, if I were to make a scarf, because I'm not touching my scarf as much, if that makes sense. And also I will likely have to wash the gloves a bit more because I'm touching more surfaces with it than if I were to wear like a scarf for an hour at a time. I would have to wash it less. So I think I'm just gonna make a very skinny scarf for this. I want to use just this, so the 93 grams that I have left. I don't really want to go into the next bag, because I sort of don't know what I want to do anymore with the remaining yarn, just because of how fuzzy it is, and I'm also worried about its longevity, if that makes sense. I don't want to spend time, you know, crocheting a larger project like a large shawl or a top or something like that if it's going to end up looking fuzzy really quickly, because I feel like it's going to look used with like quite minimal uses. I don't know if that's making any sense at all. So I think I'm just going to finish this, make a skinny scarf, not going to use a pattern or anything like that, just probably would chain until like maybe that much, and then just do double crochets until I finish the entire skein, and hopefully it turns out at a decent length, because I would like to just, you know, wrap it around once at least, hopefully. So this is what happened to the yarn just while I was talking to you. So it has gotten a bit loose. Hopefully I don't tangle it, but I'm gonna get started on that now. Hopefully it doesn't take me 7 days. This is gonna be an easy thing, I feel like, if it's just like double crochets for that long until I run out of yarn. So I will get started on that now, and I will see you hopefully within the week with a finished scarf. And I am done with crocheting it anyways. I still need to weave in my ends, but I'm not going to do that on camera because I don't want to bore you guys and put you to sleep. So I will do that once I stop filming. But yeah, it took me 3 days, 3 days, maybe 4, I don't know. My brain has honestly lost track of the days because I've been working with this yarn for so long. I think it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks working with navy blue DK weight reflective yarn. My brain just wants to do something else, so I'm super excited to be done with this episode. But it is pretty good in terms of its length. I definitely can't double it up like this and then, you know, do that. That's way too short. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just doing like a single strand like that, and then maybe knotting it, and then it ends up being quite a good length this way. And I quite like how it looks against my skin tone. It kind of looks like glitter as well. It's quite lovely. I do actually like the color and the look of the yarn, but the experience crocheting with it wasn't that great. And I also really dislike how fluffy the yarn is. There is just so much fuzz. I wish I could show you guys, like, probably you see that random bit of fluff just hanging out there and like just fell off. There is heaps of that throughout this project, and it already looks used. But I have literally, this is the first time I've tried it on. All I've done is crocheted with it. I haven't even washed it yet, and it already looks like it's been through the run. So I'm super nervous to see how everything does turn out once I get some wear out of it and put it through like a wash. I may just try hand washing it if I can remember to do so. But yes, just a bit nervous now because I do have one more bag left, but I am still undecided on what I'm going to do with this. I think I am going to end up destashing it. There's a very high probability that's going to happen because I'm just not in love with the yarn apart from the color and then the way that it looks so glittery. Everything else was a bit iffy for me, like the splittiness, for example. It did take some getting used to. This was the splittiest yarn I have worked with, apart from some random mini skeins that I had gotten from Amazon. That was terrible to deal with. But to show you guys what I mean by splittiness, this is the end that I literally just fastened off like a couple minutes ago, and the reflective thread has already unwound itself from the blue yarn. And the blue yarn, if you look at the bottom, you can sort of see how all the individual threads are unraveling itself. So that is fairly splitty. And when I was working with it at the beginning, I just kept catching my hook into like the individual threads and not actually grabbing the entire, you know, yarn bit. And I did have to, you know, undo some of my stitches to try and fix that. It definitely took maybe like half a beanie for me to get used to working with it. But I actually did end up snagging the yarn on this one. I don't know if it was me because I hadn't done it in the other projects I did. Maybe it was just a random piece of reflective thread that was not attached to the other end, but this is what ended up happening. So the reflective thread is just hanging out by itself there, and there is just one stitch that's a bit bolder than the stitches around it, because there's not really much reflective thread going on in that stitch there. But from afar it's not noticeable, and it's in the middle of the scarf, so really no one's going to notice. I'm just going to weave that little reflective thread in, so hopefully it doesn't unravel more. Fingers crossed. But yeah, if you guys have any ideas on what I can make with this that possibly would hold up, everything that I've made in this episode I am not going to wear for long periods of time. So I may just wear like this scarf and this beanie for 20 minutes to go walk socks, come back, you know, put it away, maybe wear it the next night. So it's only going to be worn for like short periods of time, and I wouldn't have to wash it after every single wear. I may just wash it after like a week or something of wearing it. I don't know. I will just see how dirty it ends up getting. And that way I'm hoping to prolong the life of these projects, because I did put 2 weeks of my life into them. But that sort of just makes me a bit nervous to make anything else with this yarn, because if I make something like a top, which I think the yarn would look fairly pretty as, I'm gonna end up washing it after every wear, and it's gonna end up super fluffy after maybe like 5 wears, and I don't want to put that much time into a project for it to turn out looking super used that quickly. So still undecided, but if you guys have any ideas on what I can do with 400 grams of, you know, DK weight reflective yarn, please let me know. I would love to know. But that is the end of episode 4 essentially. If you guys have been keeping track so far, we have used 24 skeins, I'm pretty sure, and 6.5 bags of Millends. So episode 1 we used half a bag and 2 skeins. Episode 2 we used an additional bag and 3 cakes. Episode 3 we used the most. Why did I just skip 3? Episode 3 we used 4 bags that had 4 hanks in each, so that was 16 skeins or whatever. And this episode we used 1 bag that had 3 skeins, so about 6.5 bags and 24 skeins used up so far, if I've done my math correctly. And this was all for my Christmas yarn haul, where I ended up with 72 skeins of yarn. Obviously multiple skeins in a bag, so not 72 bags of Millends. That would be a lot, because we don't really have much space to store our yarn here. We live in an itty bitty 2-bedroom apartment. So yeah, that's about a third of the yarn already used for my Christmas haul, so I'm quite happy with that. I am also really excited to get on to the next episode. I just have to figure out what that would be. My mind changes all the time, so I'm just trying to decide what the best project for that would be, but hopefully I can decide soon, and I will have that up for you very soon, so fingers crossed for that. Thank you so much for watching and joining me for another Millend Makes episode. Socks back there says bye bye, and so do I. Thank you again for watching. I will see you in my next one. See ya!